poets. All of them have read for the Amy Awards, which began here in Guildhall and is now under the aegis of Poets and Writers in Manhattan. Their voices are unique and wonderful. And the theme is House and Garden. I think you'll be amazed what those words mean to each of the different sensibilities. Simon Kirchick says, you don't have to be crazy to be a poet, but it sure helps. The reading will be in alphabetical order, and if you save your applause to the end, if you want to applaud, that is. Refreshments are here. Stephen arranged everything, and he's taping everything, so don't make faces. And after the reading with the refreshments, we have some books, and the Attorney General has determined that poetry is good for your health. Poster is fat-free, sugar-free, salt-free. Vegans can take it, and vegetarians can take it. So poets will introduce, okay, Philip Appleman first.
Do it alphabetical.
Yes.
He always is first.
Yes, because he's an Apple. Stephen prepared wonderful bios of each poet. So on your way out, you can get them with photographs. Thanks.
Okay, well, there's a rule in poetry reading that you never begin with an apology. I'm going to break that rule because I have to leave as soon as I finish, and I'm going to miss this great lineup of poets. I apologize to them and to you and to Paula. You can't hear me? Okay, I'll speak out. Anyway, House and Garden is kind of a stretch for me. My mother used to take Better Homes and Gardens, but I never read it. And so you may have a little trouble relaying these. But I'll give you a poem called East Hampton, The Structure of Sound. A lot of us go back and forth between New York and East Hampton a lot. So I think of this as a house and garden poem, East Hampton being the garden, of course, Garden of Eden, as some of us say, and New York being the house, madhouse. Poem, East Hampton, The Structure of Sound. Bedrooms ease their shingles into the yawning gardens. The silence sucks at my eardrums, and my skull flowers open like popcorn. Perpetual Sunday morning, the quiet spreads out like a meadow. I loaf and invite my soul, and it sprawls in the shade like a toadstool. Mondays, Manhattan is shapely, and the perfect circles of sirens, the shrill music of taxis making symmetries, patterns, and bounds. Jackhammers chisel my brain to correct community standards as the dawn comes up like thunder out of Brooklyn, the shape of the sunrise. Next poem is called Our Tree. Margie's parents got a new house. It was out in the country, and in order to get a little shrubbery around it, they could just walk out into the surrounding fields and look around and find things and bring them home and plant them there. Can you hear me in the back? Trouble.
Louder, please.
Okay. So this poem is about their garden. It's called Our Tree. When we dug it out 30 summers back, it wasn't as thick as a wrist, but it was straight, symmetrical, a hard maple with good genes. Small as it was, with its little world of dirt, it took 4 of us to lug it back along the riverbank to shade the shy grass at a brand new house. Once in our ground, as the Bible says, it was nothing but chattel. We owned it. Now paint is scabbing off the house, and rust is cancer in the eaves again, but the tree is tall and full and tropically green. 2 of us who carried that sapling home are underground forever. The other 2 are going gray and making out their wills. The maple sees it all. Every year it takes a deep breath, puffs 1,000 wings and murmurs in the breeze, "There, you flesh and bloods who thought you owned me. My seeds are dancing over fields and meadows, and when you're lying low and making earth, I'll send up sturdy shoots around your graves." Call that a garden poem? Okay, and I'll finish with a poem about, another poem about ownership. I used to be kind of proud of knowing that after I was in the Army in World War II and then the Merchant Marine for a few years, I could still carry everything I owned with the exception of the books. Leave the books out. I came across about 2 weeks ago in the basement my old sea bag, 60-year-old bag with my Indiana address stenciled on it, and it kind of brought this poem to mind. You start out like that, and eventually as time goes on, you accumulate things here and things there, and pretty soon you realize that you've got more stuff than you know what to do with. So it's called Possessed. Demons crowd your closets, reeking wool and cotton. In your cabinets, crystal and china feed on your dark desires. Appliances, mortal and venial, hum dirges in your head, while downstairs, pumps and motors suck crimson juices from your life. And the glut of papers and discs and tapes and the piles of books and books and books surround you, blocking the doorways. Things, your things. No exorcism now. Their black wings beat hot winds that choke you. Mine, they shriek. You're mine, all mine. Well, my apologies again. As Candide reminded us, we have to cultivate our gardens. So I'm going to go cultivate some of my own. So I hate to miss, and I apologize to this brilliant group of 5 poets, but I envy you being able to stay and hear them. Thank you all.
Thank you for coming.
Edward Boucher. B.
It's nice that Phil mentioned Voltaire's garden, because I have a poem called Voltaire's Garden. In any case, I would like to read several poems over the various years from different books. And I'd like to start with a poem that Paula particularly likes, although like is never a verb that's associated with my poetry. This is from a collection called Poems About Silence. The poem itself is called Artifice. The house curtain silence of 88 years. A rich man's cottage where his daughter, an only child, once drew crayon tigers on their bedroom wall. Where the sea roars across a moor of bloody hairs and fish skeleton pines, but recoils from the threat of my profile's jagged blade. It was built for luxury's ease and escape from the city's sweaty cells, lined with books and a white fireplace of autumn leaves that kept night at bay. Porches, upstairs and down, wavered in the heat of adults laughing like flames behind their white columns, dancing moon to moon, until the paint peeled back from oaken bone like lips from fangs, and the wind crashed home, drunk, clawed without pity or hope at the bolted French doors. The dark floors are still polished to a wicked gleam, burnt almond, and dull merchant portraits still sit against the tide of declining fortunes. The kittens curled in the candelabra jars were half asleep when the long tigers began their slow descent. the little girl like butter in their mouths. I don't know, cheer up your day, does it? The next poem brings us to Voltaire's Garden. This is from a collection called Amagansett Cycle. And of course most of them are rooted in Amagansett. Voltaire's Garden. A rock saved my bare toe from touching the rat in the grass that fled from me as if I wore a Cheshire smile, seeking shelter under a midnight porch. Hunched down, tickled by Eden tongues, I laughed at the pair of onyx eyes, mirroring a poet's decline. It has been said, perhaps in mortal jest, that Proust once pinned a rat to wood like a frantic butterfly. He thrust home several times, excited as a maddened musketeer by the spurts of terror and spicy wine. He could have been aping the scientist who measures the antics of extreme flesh through a glass eye, from the safety of his guardhouse tower, or the artist of nature who scrapes meat from his knife for earth colors and never leaves his studio. I think his mind fooled reflection, and he bore its anguish into his own heart like a grail of blood, mistaking himself for a temple, the rat for a land. And I would like to read one poem from a book called Child in the House, and had to do with middle age, which I fondly wish I could still have now remembering. But this is Summer's middle age, and we're talking about gardens and houses. And I grew up mostly in apartments, so whatever garden we had was in somebody's park. This is called Summer's Middle Age. I freed the pampered shoots from plastic cells, pale roots still squared and wet, then thumbed, patted them gently into place, boxed anew like a bonsai tree, or a Chinese girl child straining for a fiery breast where light divides itself into a balance of blindnesses. Leap after leap, paint peeling off the Leviathan sky in strips of pure excess. I planted marigolds in the highest sun, lemon drops and honeycombs, sweat and brain in exact accord for once. Naked hands spading deep, repeatedly on sore knees, to cup and overturn the rich black bottom of grave and bed, where relics of old couplings have long since slept. I dug much deeper than the marigolds demanded, until Italian soil was breached, its rusty amulets rubbed for luck before return. Hamnet's marble skull, porously dense, and a sister's light skeleton, light as a web, pinwheeling into raucous gulls overhead that center all darkness. My hands cannot hold them, save them, not run, hardening under their loss into the long fall. Now the last two poems are from an ongoing sequence, relatively ongoing, called the Local Lexicon. And so it's a series of definitions. And somehow we'll spade them in so they fit into the garden. The first one is called Déjà Vu, and it's epigraphed by a quote from a poem by Thomas Hardy, who wrote several very powerful elegies after his first wife died. The epigraph is, "There came into my ear a voice that turned to tenderer voice for me." Déjà vu. Messages from the dead who ghost the child's closet and far bedroom corners with whispers of dust are more cryptic than the classic mausoleums and plebeian stone styles that mark Queen's green hillsides, like a rebel army of raised shields, besieging Manhattan's imperial towers. Or so I must believe. Their voices a chorus around a moon-remote woman when I lie down for my afternoon nap. Just before twilight wrings me anxious, Arctic Lucy beneath me in her fluid Eloise disguise, lips at work on a tingling earlobe. No wife calls from her grave beyond the garden gate, nor boy, after escaping church from a used car lot's unlocked Chrysler, where black gospel songs rocked its frame to truant brothers' glee. No baby sister sighs over an unlived life, a small blood sign swept blank by a ruthless ceiling fan. Face down in defeat and faux noontime desire, I climax a stifled groan that lumbers to an old house to startle awake 3 rescued kittens, they alone sensing who walks and mourns invisibly here. Now I'd like to finish with a poem from the same sequence called Heritage, and somebody asked if it had to do with 9/11, and if it does, it's oblique. Heritage. We must let the imbecile live. If the daisy, trapped in a sudden frost, is to contain the ocean's horizon within its saffron heart. If that heart is to retain a sidewise mirror in our single crystal eye, dauntless below a detonating sun. Senseless impulses rooted in a front garden among jewel-cased beetles perfect minute sense, our senses in things, and billow enormous angel wings, wheeling mile upon mile of blue air. Rocking on the porch of a tidy New England house, the trim old lady, however clenched or bitterly thin beneath the benevolent linens, is the bearer of our traditions, the brave tears she never sheds, fresh dew gilding flower hands, and the exorbitant rates she charges for her historic rooms and her new minted men is not too high a price to pay for the mind that sighs at a Plymouth harbor like a cow's breath to caress broken skyscraper faces.
Fran, Castan.
Doesn't get lower.
Hmm?
It doesn't get lower.
And I don't get taller. This
You
is,
want to
This is
stand on a
live.
chair.
come around, maybe like this. I'll sit.
Better.
Better? Yeah. Dwelling. The first house you left, dreams. The belly of the sink, the eye of the glass, the arms of the old wing chair, all ask, what has become of you? Your house abides, like the snail's spent shell, swirled in the shape of seasons gone and come again, as the planet whirls on to sleep in its own shadow, only to shine again in the sun. You must return to that dwelling in the dark, awake or asleep. Take memory back, and this time learn to live by heart. Ambrosia. The Japanese beetle at the mouth of the white rose is stoned. His life, unwashed hours of ecstasy. He, at the nectary, I a voyeur, crouched at the spiked leg of the flower, Watch petals lift in the breeze like layered curtains above our bed, those idle afternoons. My fragrance on your lips, your hands, your hair, you everywhere. On our bedroom wall, Venice. Sunlight drenched in a nearby canal paints halos on our shadows. We laugh and say we look like saints. We are saints, the way we love each other in plain sight of our faults. Look at the shapes we were given to perform our lives, stretched out flat against the wall. Rinse clear of facial expression, huddled on our shadowed bed, we are twin darknesses, light made, free of obstacles our bodies meet. Let's make love as we are, a fragile pair in a fresco by a grand master. Pollen. Without a calendar, I would know June in the deep pile of the carpet, on my pillow, the mirror, the brush I moisten for mouth and teeth. Eyebrows, nostrils, the crescent between each nail and finger entered as if all of me were an ovary. Not even my tongue in its salivary bath dissolves these grains. If I were to run naked through June's first week, I would become mother of pine. I could not escape June's yellow love, filling every crevice. If it could, June would billow into July and August too, with its insistent sex. And you, love, remember how you chased me up the stairs to our bedroom? What about you? What about now? Come, sing like a cardinal in my arms. Double manicure at the breakfast table. Why these red nails our daughter and daughter-in-law insist on. They file and polish and file. Notice color, shape, length, and patterns unplanned for that sheets and blankets press into damp nails. They awake and say, look at my sheets. See my blankets? With nails still perfect from the last manicure, they skim the week's polish onto cotton, sail these streaked clouds into a basket. Shall I wear red lady, one asks, or do you like deep ember better? They are artists at the table, solving problems of the craft, this chip, that crack, a too heavy enamel streak. In their vocal duet is concern beyond mere vanity, urgency of a life's work greater than this simple task. In each small focus of perfection, in each blood-red globule they paint with such care, I begin to see the shape of their conjuring. Our first grandchild will be carried soon, here I go, by one of these children, these beautiful daughters. I told you, Carol, you can't say grandchild.
I know.
We Poles have a problem with this. Sorry. Deadheading, East and West, 2001. Amagansett, New York, 7 p.m., hurricane season. I snap spent rhododendrons. Joshua Tree, California, 4 p.m., San Andreas Fault, Sierra Clips, withered marigolds. I like to think we are in this together, a 6 and a 60-year-old, granddaughter and grandmother, gardening across the miles. Last visit, when we left her fort of oleander, she admonished me to wash my hands. Poisonous, she told me, with the confident authority of one who knows her little acre. I am out of earshot for the moment of practice bombs slamming the Marine base near her home, where troops train as they once did during Operation Desert Storm. She is shielded for the moment from TV images of New York, the World Trade Center inferno, the collapse of its towers. What we can, we do, we two, make lush our patch of desert and of beach. Okay, I think this is my last poem. Trimming Privet. 6 p.m., and I'm still not finished. No power saw, electric or gas-driven, just a rusty old pair of clippers and my gnarled fingers. Happy at work, I like being tired in this way, my body in the sun, bending to snip branches and gather clippings, a whole day of it. What would the time study man say? Lady, you saved only pennies. Get a job. Parsimonious Ben's advice, a penny saved is a penny earned. Way to go, Ben, you're my man. Saved a gym membership, a personal trainer, a yard man. Earned daydreams, memories. Privet, my first hedge, taught me the seasons. Chartreuse buds, spring. White flowers, summer. Purple berries, fall. All gone, winter. Privet enclosed a yard of dry, dusty earth, which came to life when we children planted seedlings carried home in wooden boxes the grocer discarded. Victory gardens we called the rows of radishes, peas, scallions. We helped win the war in the front yard, shared with our apartment-dwelling neighbors 64 years ago. Will you still love me now that I'm so much more than 64? Is trimming privet the best use of my time? Would I choose this task on the last day of my life? I hate these questions. I always come up foolish, a colossal time waster. Oh, Mr. Alcott, had you been my father, I would have learned better purpose. I could have been Louisa May, but here I am, my own father's daughter, with his gambler's heart. I'm shooting craps with time, squandering it as if I'd been bankrolled by a big spender. Daddy rich bucks. Ah, time, I have plenty of you. There's more where you came from. I'll use you up with the sun.